Hey guys, so if you're tuning in, this is part 2 of my Tenet review. If you have not watched part 1, you can check that out here. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Candi and Popcorn. I'm Candice James, and here we talk all things TV and movies. I give you really great reviews, I give you suggestions about what to watch, and there's always cocktails on my channel. And so guys, like and subscribe if you like any of those 3 things. But today we're gonna talk about Tenet, so let's get started. This review will have spoilers, and so if you want to watch the spoiler-free version of that, check that one out here, which is a separate review, no spoilers. So let's get started on part 2. So again, this portion of the review is going to talk about the artistic liberties that Christopher Nolan takes, as well as my favorite part of this review, the deductions and my confusions, coming out of this film. So again, part 1 has information about the script, the visuals, the score, as well as the acting. And so that's the more technical side. Go check out part 1 if you have not done that before. Let's get started. Christopher Nolan does take a lot of artistic liberties, with this film. And the very first and probably the most obvious is that the protagonist doesn't have a name. John David Washington's character doesn't have a name. He only has the title, the protagonist. And what I think is really cool and another testament to Christopher Nolan's amazing writing is the fact that you actually don't miss the name. You go through the entire movie not thinking that they tried purposefully to avoid saying his name. It just is. So second in terms of artistic liberties is the scenes. Some of the scenes felt really glitchy at times where they would literally jump from one scene to the next. So for example, there was a scene when they're in the back of a car, the back of a truck, and they're inverted. And it goes from literally one scene to the next. They're having a conversation and the conversation ends and they say, all right, I'm about to go take a nap. And then the next scene is them now waking up from this nap and they're in the midst of another conversation. And I think it's to show the distortment of time, the displacement of time. I doubt this was due to faulty editing because this movie had a $200 million budget. So I think with $200 million, there's a lot of eyes on it. I think this is Christopher Nolan making a strategic decision about how to show the displacement of time. So guys, on today's video, we're actually not doing a cocktail today. And I know I say we do cocktails on here, but I found Farmer's Fridge. It's a new company and they deliver different types of foods to you, mainly salads, wraps, and like little bowls. So if you're in the same position that I am and you're looking for, healthy delivered foods that is really easy to make. I mean, literally the salads come in a container and you just dump it out and they stay fresh for quite some time. But if you're like me, then take a look in the description, use my discount code and get yourself off $10 off of your first order. All right, so let's get into one of the more fun parts at least I think, of my review, which are the confusions and deductions that I found coming out of this film. And so first and foremost, I had to look up the word posterity, like I said, which is all future generations of people. If this was a Tenet definitions test, I would pass. So another thing that was really big in this film is a paradox, and Nolan talks about it at many points throughout the film. And do you remember when Neil is talking to the protagonist and he talks about the grandfather paradox, which is if someone were to go back in time and kill their grandfather before their grandfather ever has children, does that person still exist? And the answer is there is no answer. It's a paradox. It's contradictory because you can't have someone existing but then their forefathers not existing at the same time. And so there's a lot of talk about paradoxes in this film. So I have a hypothesis. I actually think that Neil himself is a paradox. So Neil at the end of the film dies as he is trying to open the door so that the protagonist can stop Sergei's man from igniting the bomb. Now, we see that he is dead, but then because he is inverted, he goes backwards in time and is now alive. And at some point, he inverts and gets himself back on the same time as John David Washington's character, as the protagonist, and they meet up at the end of the film. And then instead of joining John David Washington, he then goes back into the machine and goes back to being inverted. And what he says is, I'm the only one, I have to go back because I'm the only one that can get the door open. And I assume they're talking about the door that's the airplane, in the airplane hangar. At the beginning of the film, when the two of them have to get through a series of doors while there's no air, while the air is being displaced in the airplane hangar. And the protagonist fails in opening the last door, and Neil punches in the code and gets that door open quickly. And so I think he's saying he's the only one that can do that, so this mission would fail from the beginning if he's not there. So he goes back in time, and so there's this continuous loop. He dies, but then he inverts himself. So if that's the case, how is it that John David Washington's character meets him in the future, right? That was the last conversation that Neil has with the protagonist, that the protagonist is the one that actually recruits him. So obviously in John's future, in the protagonist's future, and in Neil's past, they've met up before. And so it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out, like, if he's stuck in this loop, where does that happen? So I do think that Neil is a paradox. If you guys see this differently or think about this a little bit differently, let me know, because this is quite interesting to me. I also had to look up what a pincer movement is, because they said that so many times during the movie. So a pincer movement is a movement by two separate bodies of troop converging on the enemy. And we see this at least 2 or 3 times in the film. So if there was a Tenet exam, I would get an A. And one of the other questions that I have coming out of this movie. One of the other questions that I have coming out of this movie is Priya in the end was going to kill Kat, right? And Kat is the one that makes the phone call, and the protagonist stops Priya. But Priya's response to the protagonist was, "I need to tie up loose ends." And so I'm really confused as to why Kat is a loose end. She never wanted to destroy the world. She was simply out doing this for her own freedom and for the freedom of her son, and she got that. So I don't understand why she is still a threat that Priya would want to kill her. So if you guys have an answer to that one, please, again, let me know. And finally, guys, I've got some bonus content here. So I'm always saying on my channel that this is a dialogue, not a monologue, but then I'm the only one ever talking to you guys. So what I have is some post-film interviews of some folks that were also watching the film the second time with me, and I wanted to get their thoughts, and so that way you've got some fresh takes other than my own about this film. So let's go to that. All right, did you guys like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Well, tell me about it.
I liked it.
It was really good? Okay, you liked it? So what did you guys like about it?
I liked that it made me think a lot.
Okay.
Throughout the whole movie, I was just constantly thinking about the overall meaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the meaning for you?
I mean, honestly, I'm still thinking about that.
Okay.
Dude, but I still don't understand the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody else feel that way? Like they don't fully understand everything? Yeah?
I feel like I understand it.
Yeah, okay. So you feel like you understand. Do you understand everything, or is it like some parts clear, some parts not clear?
What I didn't understand was like when they were fighting, like in the war, like when did that occur? That occurred in the past? Or
Okay.
In the future?
Like the part when they were in the battlefield and like they had the red team, blue team?
Exactly.
Okay.
So he was talking to him through the phone in the past, or was he talking to him in the future?
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm not sure. Maybe it was in the past when they were on the boat.
Yeah.
When before like they jumped off when they were in Vietnam, the couple, whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right, what about you guys over here? Y'all are a little silent. What do you guys think?
It was a really good movie, but it's like really confusing at the same time. But that's why those are like my favorite type of movies.
Okay.
Like, you think, like that reminded me a lot like Inception. So.
Okay, yeah. So speaking about Inception, you guys have watched other Christopher Nolan films like Inception, The Dark Knight. What do you guys rank this movie in between? Do you think this?
It's probably third behind Inception. Actually, no. I think this one's better than Inception, but Dark Knight's his best movie.
Okay, so you're a Dark Knight fan.
Yeah.
Okay, Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Okay, all right. So overall, thumbs up, thumbs down for this movie. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy. And that is my very long 2-part take on the Tenet movie. So find me in the comments, find me on social media, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because I upload new videos every 1st and 15th of the month, but I have lots of great bonus content that I release in between. So guys, hope you like this review, hope you love the film Tenet, and until next time, cheers.